You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I think you have our guest today, former Senator Bongo Marcos. Senator, thanks for staying. Are you there? Okay, I don't think we have Senator Marcos on air. While we try to get him, I still wanted to actually interview the senator on various issues. We left it at what he called what he would be is a unifying president, talking really about the COVID-19 response of government, sabi nga niya, unifying, synchronizing all sectors. And this begins with the vaccination of the public, which really is all about herd immunity. So I'm wondering if we still have the senator. We're waiting for that. So we had an interview with Senator Marcos earlier from 9 to 9:30 on television. Now we are live on Facebook. So a lot of questions really, what are his plans? Wala pang Vice President, si Senator Bongo Marcos. At sinasabi nga niya, everything is evolving. It is still volatile for him right now. And as he mentioned a while ago, he was as surprised as political observers were, because the plan initially was really to get President Rodrigo Duterte as his vice presidential running mate. Let's remember, former Senator Bongo Marcos filed his certificate of candidacy yesterday. And dun niya po inamin, he said to one of the reporters, I will be candid with you, the plan was really to get President Duterte as his vice presidential candidate. Is the senator back? Okay, andyan na po si Senator Bongo Marcos. Senator, as I mentioned a while ago, thanks for staying. You're live, sir. Okay, hintayin pa rin natin. I think the senator is still logging in. Okay, so while our team is still talking to former Senator Bongo Marcos, ang sabi din niya po, they're open to any possibility right now to field a vice presidential candidate. All right, he's back on air. Senator, we are live on Facebook. We just have about 5 to 10 minutes, and I thank you for staying, sir.
Sure.
Okay, Senator, so yung sinasabi niyo pong unifying leadership, let's be siguro very candid about this also. I understand what you're saying. Definitely, COVID will still be with us. Sabi nga ng gobyerno, 1 to 2 more years. But when you said unifying president, a lot of people speculated on the other meaning of that. Meaning, how will you unify the country in terms of, you know, a pro-Marcos, an anti-Marcos, a pro-Duterte, an anti-Duterte? Is that top of mind for you also to be able to unify? No, okay.
No. To be able to unify is is certainly the most critical thing that we have to achieve. What is not top of mind is the political color of the person that the person or the group that we are dealing with. And I really believe that if you present the people, no matter what their political color might be, if you present a good plan and you present the capability, you have the capability to make the bureaucracy work for you, to do the things that need to be done, by including the coordination with the private sector, including the coordination with individuals, with local governments, etc. If you present a plan for them to all follow, that it can be seen to be effective, then that will be the unifying factor. It is not I'm not talking about unifying political segments. I'm unifying the people, unifying our organs of government, unifying all the different sectors of our society and of our economy to work together. Right now, as I said, there are the different elements are working at cross purposes. Minsan, one side, basically, the private sector is complaining about government is complaining about the private sector, etc., etc. Now, if we could bring that all together, we would certainly, I think, do a better job of managing the COVID, especially with the new Delta variant, with the acquisition of many more vaccines and the big
Okay.
and a big rollout of vaccination to all the different areas. That is what
Well,
I
while
mean when
we're
I say unify. It is not a political unificationism. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to unify our efforts against COVID. Goal here is to unify our efforts to reignite and revitalize the economy. That's what I meant by unifying.
it, all right, you made that very clear, Senator. And on the same topic, because you're looking into COVID still present next year, if you win, ano hong plano nyo? I just want to go specifics already because we only have 5 minutes
Sure.
left. What is your plan for the medical frontliners? You obviously know, certainly know what's been happening. Humihingi sila ng break. Maalis po yung ating mga medical frontliners. How do you plan to fix that?
Well, the first, when you look at the COVID situation everywhere in the world, it really boils down to vaccines. That's the most critical, fundamental part. The acquisition, the whatever arrangements that we can make G2G, private, basta makapagpasok tayo ng vaccine. And then the next part is, as you mentioned, we have to take care of our frontliners. And when nagbago ng definition ng frontliner, dati sinasabi natin yung frontliner, yung mga nasa ospital, yung mga nurse, yung mga medtech, yung mga basta nagtatrabaho sa ospital, mga doktor, even the people who clean, etc. Now the frontliners are changing because nagbubukas na tayo ng ekonomiya. Number one, for example, I would say that now we should define teachers, especially those who are in the pilot program for face-to-face, that they should be considered frontliners and they should be prioritized for the vaccine. That's the same for our health workers. But our health workers, it's become a critical situation because the DOH says the shortfall in nurses here in the Philippines, especially in the pandemic, is 100,000 nurses. The Private Hospitals Association said 40% of their nurses have left nursing because they can no longer support their families by nursing. And that puts us in a very, very critical position, especially now that the Delta variant is shooting up. This is an example of us working at cross purposes. Ang kailangan natin ang ating serbisyo ng ating mga nurse, pero hindi natin sila nabibigyan ng yung sapat na benepisyo, yung mga benepisyo na ipinangako sa batas. So that's immediately a perfect example of what I say working at cross purposes. It doesn't achieve the stated goal and just causes this kind of problem where nurses are leaving. We lack 100,000 nurses, yet we continue to export nurses. So, again, working at cross purposes. So these are the things that I am trying to make sense of. And we have to bring together to unify, by unifying our efforts so that we can open the economy, get back to work, and some kind of normalcy in our lives again.
I'm gonna really call this fast talk because it needs to be fast. So what is your plan doon po? Sabihin na just particularly sa mga nurses, how do you prevent them from leaving the country? Have you thought about that? Is there a plan for them that you already have in mind?
Well, the thing is, let's start with the SRA, the specialist allowance or the hazard pay of the nurses. That make sure that they get all of that. Then, and again, if we beyond that, even the vaccinations, we still prioritize them when we have boosted, when it's time for shots. Unahin natin sila. So it's just a question of prioritizing, valuing their, and recognizing the work that they do, and supporting them in that regard, because we think of them as nurses, we think of them as doctors, we think of them as technicians, but they are also the breadwinners of their family. And we cannot expect them to come to work and still be worried because they cannot feed their own families. So that's the first step. You support economically, financially the frontliners so that they are there. They are working in the quarantine areas. They're working in the hospitals. Everything that we can do to support stay. It's a labor market that we are competing in. Of course, they go abroad because ang laki ng kinikita nila
Malaki ang kita. Opo.
Oo, natanggap sila doon. Kailangan natin,
Okay.
but of course, a Filipino would rather work at home. So they will take a less pay, pero talagang sapat para doon sa kanilang pangangailangan. They will stay at home and they will work here in the Philippines.
Senator, yes or no, if you can, please, will you pursue the drug war of President Rodrigo Duterte with the same vigor, the same aggressiveness?
Yes, but perhaps with in a different way. We have seen that the drug war has been conducted purely on the enforcement side. I think that we should also focus on the prevention side and educational process where we're teaching our young children that that doing drugs is bad, although the health implications,
Okay.
the implications to their lives, etc., etc. So doon tapos yung pag-rehab, pagandahin naman natin ang mga rehab center natin because there are many rehab centers, there are some rehab centers, but they're not really functioning properly with the most modern techniques. Kaya paglabas na-rehabilitate, 6 na buwan, dire-diretso, bibili ka agad ng drugs sa, bago umuwi, bibili na agad ng drugs. So, kailangan natin so I think my approach would be the enforcement we have seen can only take you so far, the enforcement side of the drug problem. You have to also look at the prevention side and the curing side.
Do you think there were human rights violations in the president's war on drugs?
Well, they're investigating it, and we will see what the results of that investigation are.
Okay.
It is especially in the beginning of his term. It was really an internecine war amongst the drug dealers, drug lords. But I think that has slowed down, and now we're actually dealing with the big wigs, those who are really responsible for the supply of drugs being brought into the Philippines.
Senator, last question. Will you allow ICC investigators to come into the country if you win as president?
Well, we're not signing the Rome agreements anymore. We withdrew. So yeah, they can come, they can be tourists and look at the Philippines. But I don't know. I don't know what they expect that the government will do beyond that. Because again, we don't recognize that investigation, and we have withdrawn as a signatory.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
We will behave as a non-signatory. If they want to come to the country, we are welcome. Everybody is welcome to the Philippines, but as a visitor.
Yeah, but we did withdraw. However, this covers the years that we were still part of the Rome Statute, hindi ho ba? So that still covers it. There's already a ruling on that. So the question is, yung pong pag-examine nila, pag-investigate nila ng sinasabing crimes against humanity during those times, they may need to come here. The question is, will you allow them and open possibly the records that they may need if you become president?
That clearly is dependent on how they come. What do they come as? Are they coming to investigate all the policemen? They're going to make all of these allegations against people that we have no idea about, and then they want us to help them. To bring accusations against our Filipino people, workers in government. Pambira naman siguro yun. I don't think that's right.
So
but once again, come to the Philippines. Everyone is welcome to come to the Philippines, but you will understand that we will have to examine very clearly what your intention is when you're coming here, and what the government's place is in those intentions that they have when they come to the Philippines.
Okay, former Senator Bongbong Marcos, sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras and take care of yourself.
Thank you again, Pinky. Ingat lang at maraming salamat din. Magandang umaga po.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.
sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya